Women are turned on by more than looks. It's energy, presence, and confidence. Emotional safety, calm strength, and a man's purpose ignite her desire. When he listens without needing control, stays grounded, and leads with authenticity, her attraction deepens. Real desire begins where understanding, mystery, and emotional connection meet. Emotional safety is one of the most underestimated yet powerful triggers of desire in a woman. It's not the expensive gifts, fancy dinners, or sweet words that make her feel drawn to a man. It's the deep sense that she can finally exhale in his presence. When she feels safe, her heart opens, and with it, her attraction blossoms. Emotional safety doesn't mean being overly soft or agreeable. It means creating a space where she feels seen without judgment, where her feelings are not something to fix, but something to understand. Most men think women want excitement, drama, or mystery to stay interested. But what truly awakens a woman is peace, the kind that comes from knowing she's emotionally protected, not manipulated. A woman's body and mind cannot fully relax into attraction if her emotions are constantly on guard. When a man's energy says, "You are safe here," her defenses melt. It's not about words. It's about the energy he carries, calm, grounded, and emotionally intelligent. He doesn't react impulsively. He listens. He allows her emotions to exist without needing to control or diminish them. When a woman feels emotionally safe, her feminine energy rises naturally. She becomes more affectionate, more expressive, and more connected. She no longer fears rejection or punishment for being herself. Emotional safety allows her to feel free, to be playful, vulnerable, and even sensual. It's the invisible signal that tells her she can trust not just the man, but her own emotions in his presence. This kind of safety is magnetic because it's rare. Most women have learned to hide parts of themselves to avoid being misunderstood or judged. When a man doesn't just tolerate her complexity but welcomes it, he becomes unforgettable. Creating emotional safety starts with how a man responds in moments of tension. When she expresses her fears or frustration, does he listen or get defensive? When she's emotional, does he pull away or stay calm? These moments define whether she will ever feel safe enough to open up again. Emotional safety is built when she realizes that her emotions don't push him away. They bring him closer. It's not about agreeing with everything she says, but about staying steady while she expresses herself. There's nothing more attractive to a woman than a man who can hold space for her emotions without losing his own center. That kind of strength is not loud. It's quiet, grounded, and unwavering. It tells her he's in control of himself, not her. That's what creates trust. And trust is the foundation of desire. When she feels secure emotionally, she begins to desire him not out of need, but out of choice. Her attraction becomes deeper, more authentic, and more lasting. Emotional safety is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's in the way he communicates, the tone he uses, the way he looks at her when she's vulnerable. Every small action either builds or breaks that sense of safety. And once a woman feels it, she doesn't just want the man, she respects him, she trusts him, and she's turned on by the peace he brings into her life. Confidence without arrogance is one of the most powerful forms of attraction. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't need to be announced, proven, or forced. It's simply there, quietly present in how a man carries himself. A woman can sense it instantly because it feels different. Arrogance pushes energy outward, seeking validation and control. True confidence, on the other hand, draws energy inward. It's calm, grounded, and self-assured. It says, "I know who I am and I don't need your approval to feel worthy." That is what makes it magnetic. A confident man doesn't talk about his worth. He lives it. He doesn't chase attention because he knows attention comes naturally when he's aligned with purpose. He doesn't dominate conversations or try to prove superiority. Instead, he listens with interest, not insecurity. Women are deeply intuitive, and they can feel the difference between ego-driven confidence and genuine self-respect. The arrogant man might impress for a moment, but the confident man captivates for a lifetime because he radiates stability. His energy feels safe, strong, and mature. Arrogance is loud. It needs to be seen. Confidence is silent. It simply exists. Arrogance demands recognition. Confidence doesn't care for it. The arrogant man wants to be admired. The confident man wants to understand and connect. This distinction changes everything because women are not drawn to men who need to prove their worth. They are drawn to men who already know it. That sense of self-assurance allows her to relax. She doesn't feel like she has to compete for his attention or fight for his respect. She feels equal, valued, and respected. A confident man doesn't seek to dominate a woman. He inspires her. His strength doesn't come from putting others down, but from knowing he can rise without comparison. He can be firm without being aggressive, assertive without being controlling, and ambitious without being self-centered. His confidence allows him to embrace both his power and his humility. That balance is what women find irresistible. A man who can lead but also listen, protect but also understand, stand tall but also admit when he's wrong. Confidence without arrogance also shows up in how a man handles rejection or challenges. He doesn't crumble when things don't go his way. He doesn't react from ego or insecurity. Instead, he learns, adapts, and moves forward with quiet strength. This emotional maturity communicates to a woman that he's not fragile or easily threatened. He's reliable. And reliability is sexy because it creates emotional safety, something every woman subconsciously desires. When a man embodies true confidence, his presence feels like home. He doesn't need to control the room. The room naturally adjusts to his energy. He doesn't talk to impress. He speaks with purpose. He doesn't chase admiration. He earns respect through his actions. That's the difference between attraction that fades and attraction that lasts. A confident man doesn't have to convince a woman to see his value. She feels it the moment he walks in because his energy speaks louder than his words ever could. A man's purpose is one of the most attractive forces he can possess. When a man is rooted in something greater than himself, his energy changes. It becomes focused, calm, and magnetic. Women are not drawn to men who seek to possess or control them. They are drawn to men who are driven by purpose. Possession comes from fear, the fear of losing control, the fear of not being enough. Purpose comes from strength, the strength to stand alone, to build, to grow, and to lead with vision. A man who is anchored in purpose doesn't need to cling to anyone because his sense of fulfillment doesn't depend on another person. When a woman meets a man who is deeply connected to his purpose, she feels it in his presence. His words carry weight, his decisions have direction, and his life feels intentional. He doesn't chase attention because his energy is already invested in building something meaningful. That stability is what makes him so attractive. He isn't distracted by games or approval. He's focused on progress, his and hers. In a world full of men trying to possess women to feel powerful, the man of purpose stands apart because his power comes from within. A man who tries to possess a woman makes her feel trapped. A man with purpose makes her feel free. When a woman senses that a man's love doesn't come with ownership, but with partnership, her respect and attraction deepen. She doesn't have to shrink herself to be loved, and that freedom makes her want to give more of herself. Possession says, "You belong to me." Purpose says, "We are both growing, and I want you to rise with me." That difference transforms the entire dynamic of attraction. Purpose also protects a man from emotional chaos. When his life is guided by vision, he doesn't lose himself in temporary emotions. He can love deeply without being consumed. He doesn't need constant validation or control because his direction gives him peace. This emotional stability allows him to lead with strength and kindness. Women feel this balance. It's what allows them to relax into their feminine energy. A man who is guided by purpose gives off a rare sense of certainty, and that certainty awakens trust, respect, and desire. A man's purpose doesn't have to be grand or public. It simply has to be real. It might be his career, his growth, his mission, or his passion, but it's something that gives his life meaning beyond relationships. That's what keeps him grounded and magnetic. When a woman sees a man devoted to something bigger than himself, she sees discipline, focus, and depth, qualities that separate him from the ordinary. In the end, purpose is not just about success. It's about direction. It's what keeps a man powerful without being controlling, confident without being arrogant, and loving without being needy. A man who lives for purpose doesn't chase love. He attracts it. Because women don't fall for possession, they fall for presence, and nothing is more present than a man who knows why he's here. Presence is one of the most powerful and underrated forms of attraction. When a man is fully present, he doesn't just occupy space, he commands it quietly. His attention becomes magnetic because it's rare. In a world where everyone is distracted, a man who gives his undivided focus makes a woman feel seen in a way that few ever do. Presence is not about staring or speaking, it's about energy. It's the ability to be fully in the moment, not thinking about what to say next, not planning, not performing, just being. That level of attention creates a deep emotional connection that no words can match. When a woman feels a man's presence, she feels understood without him needing to explain anything. His eyes communicate interest, patience, and calm curiosity. He listens not to reply, but to understand. That subtle difference changes everything. A woman doesn't feel pressured to impress him or prove herself. She feels accepted. This allows her to drop her guard and express her true self. And when she feels emotionally safe enough to be authentic, attraction naturally follows. Presence is the silent bridge between emotional safety and desire. A man who is present makes time slow down. His calmness grounds her. His energy feels steady, unmoved by chaos. In that moment, she feels that nothing else exists but the two of them. That's not manipulation. That's connection. Many men chase women through words, gestures, or gifts, but they forget the power of presence. A woman doesn't fall for what a man says. She falls for how she feels when she's around him. If she feels calm, seen, and valued, she'll crave that energy again and again. Presence also reflects emotional maturity. A man who is distracted, anxious, or constantly checking his phone gives off uncertainty. But a man who is fully there, steady gaze, composed tone, relaxed body, signals control. He's in charge of himself, not trying to control the situation. This is deeply attractive because it conveys strength without dominance. Women sense it immediately. A man who can hold space, both physically and emotionally, without rushing or judging, allows her to soften. That's when true intimacy begins to form. Being present doesn't mean saying much. It's often about silence, the kind of silence that feels full, not empty. When a man's energy is grounded, his stillness becomes powerful. It tells her that he's not seeking approval or validation. He's simply there, confident in who he is. That kind of quiet presence is unforgettable. Presence is not something that can be faked. It comes from inner peace, self-awareness, and emotional discipline. It's the result of a man knowing himself so deeply that he doesn't need to perform to be valued. A woman feels safe in that steadiness. She feels drawn to it because it represents something rare. A man who isn't lost in distractions or ego. A man who is fully present becomes a mirror for her emotions, and in that reflection, she finds both comfort and desire. Emotional mystery is one of the most subtle yet powerful ways a woman becomes drawn to a man. It's not about playing games or being manipulative. It's about depth. A man who possesses emotional mystery doesn't reveal everything about himself right away. He allows a woman to discover him over time. That unfolding process creates curiosity, and curiosity is one of the strongest forms of attraction. When a man's emotions are steady, layered, and not easily predictable, he awakens a woman's natural desire to understand him. It's not confusion she's drawn to. It's complexity. Emotional mystery isn't coldness, it's self-control. It's knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. It's having emotional depth without the need to overshare. A man who reveals just enough to connect, but not enough to be completely read, creates intrigue. Women are intuitive. They can sense the energy behind a man's words, his tone, his silence. When they can't fully figure him out, they stay emotionally engaged. It keeps the connection alive because mystery invites imagination, and imagination fuels desire. A man who embodies emotional mystery doesn't rush to prove his worth. He's comfortable with space. He knows that real connection doesn't need to be forced. When he shares his thoughts, they carry intention. When he listens, it feels like he's truly absorbing what's being said. That calm, contained energy makes a woman feel that he's in tune with himself. And that kind of emotional discipline is magnetic. Most men think being open means revealing everything, but true openness comes from selective vulnerability. It's not about hiding emotions, it's about expressing them with wisdom. When a man doesn't react to everything, when he stays composed under pressure, it tells a woman he's not easily shaken. That stability becomes a form of mystery because she begins to wonder what lies beneath his calmness. What has he been through? What shapes his silence? What gives him that strength? That curiosity turns into emotional attraction, and it runs far deeper than surface-level chemistry. She wants to understand him not just intellectually, but emotionally, to feel what he feels, to connect with the man beneath the surface. Emotional mystery also makes a man appear more confident. He doesn't need to constantly explain himself or seek validation. His stillness says more than words could. This creates polarity. His grounded energy pulls her in, while his restraint keeps her intrigued. He becomes both comforting and challenging, familiar yet unpredictable. A woman's emotions thrive in this balance between safety and curiosity. She feels secure enough to trust him, but captivated enough to keep exploring him. The truth is, emotional mystery isn't about withholding love. It's about mastering presence and restraint. A man who has emotional mystery gives glimpses of his inner world, but never fully exposes it all. He lets connection deepen naturally instead of rushing it. That makes every interaction feel meaningful, every word intentional, and every moment alive with unspoken energy. It's that energy, calm, grounded, yet unreadable, that leaves a lasting impression and keeps her coming back, not because she's confused, but because she's emotionally fascinated. Gentle dominance is one of the most captivating qualities a man can have. It's the perfect balance between strength and tenderness, authority without aggression, confidence without control. A man with gentle dominance doesn't overpower a woman. He leads her energy with calm certainty. He doesn't demand respect. His energy naturally commands it. There's a quiet power in the way he speaks, the way he moves, and the way he looks at her. It's not about physical control, but emotional leadership. He creates an environment where she feels both protected and free, guided but never restricted. Gentle dominance starts with self-mastery. A man cannot lead another unless he has learned to lead himself. He knows how to manage his emotions, stay grounded, and make decisions from clarity instead of ego. This control over himself makes his presence reassuring. When a woman feels that kind of energy, she relaxes into her feminine side. She feels safe enough to surrender, not because she's weak, but because she trusts his strength. A man who is firm but kind, assertive but patient, allows her to fully express her softness without fear of being judged or taken advantage of. This dynamic is not about power games. It's about balance. Gentle dominance allows polarity to flourish, the natural dance of masculine and feminine energy. A man who practices it doesn't silence her voice. He listens deeply, but he also provides direction when needed. He leads conversations, makes decisions with confidence, and takes initiative. Yet he does it with empathy. He's strong enough to take charge, but emotionally aware enough to remain sensitive to her feelings. That balance is what makes him so alluring. Women are drawn to men who know when to take control and when to step back. A man with gentle dominance doesn't rush or pressure. He allows things to unfold naturally, but makes sure they never drift aimlessly. His guidance feels safe, not controlling. His assertiveness feels reassuring, not intimidating. He can look into her eyes and communicate certainty without saying a word. That unspoken confidence builds deep attraction because it tells her she's in the presence of someone who knows himself and can be trusted. Gentle dominance also comes through boundaries. A man who can say no without anger, who can stand firm without hostility, radiates power. He doesn't need to shout to be heard. His calm authority speaks louder than any raised voice could. This form of dominance isn't about superiority. It's about leadership rooted in emotional intelligence. He's not reactive. He's responsive. He doesn't let chaos pull him off balance. And that composure makes him magnetic. When a woman encounters gentle dominance, she feels an instant shift. Her guard drops because she senses that he can handle both her softness and her storms. He doesn't compete with her energy. He guides it. He doesn't try to control her. He earns her trust through consistency, strength, and respect. It's this subtle power, strong enough to lead, gentle enough to care, that turns attraction into devotion, because a man who masters gentle dominance doesn't just capture a woman's attention. He captures her peace, her respect, and her desire. Non-sexual intimacy is one of the most overlooked yet deeply powerful forms of connection between a man and a woman. It's the kind of intimacy that doesn't rely on touch or physical closeness, but on emotional awareness, genuine attention, and heartfelt presence. It's the way a man looks into a woman's eyes and listens with full focus, the way he remembers the smallest details about her, the way he notices her moods without her needing to explain. These simple, quiet gestures make her feel valued in ways that physical attraction alone never could. Non-sexual intimacy builds trust, and trust builds desire. Most men believe attraction is sustained through physical affection, but a woman's deepest form of attraction is emotional. She connects through feeling understood, appreciated, and emotionally seen. When a man takes the time to build that connection without rushing toward the physical, he shows her something rare: patience, respect, and genuine interest. That patience itself becomes alluring. It tells her that his desire isn't driven by impulse, but by connection. When she realizes he desires her presence more than her body, something within her softens. She begins to feel safe enough to open up emotionally, and that emotional openness becomes the foundation for deeper passion. Non-sexual intimacy exists in small, meaningful actions. It's in a late-night conversation about her fears and dreams, in the quiet moments when words aren't needed, in laughter shared over something simple. It's when he reaches for her hand, not to lead her somewhere, but just to let her know he's there. It's when he listens without interrupting or trying to fix everything. It's when his tone is calm, his energy grounded, and his presence consistent. These are the moments when a woman feels deeply connected because she's not being desired for what she gives. She's being valued for who she is. A man who understands non-sexual intimacy doesn't need to prove his masculinity through dominance or control. His strength lies in his ability to connect without expecting anything in return. This kind of connection awakens trust and admiration. It shows emotional maturity, the ability to be close without crossing boundaries, to love without demanding possession. That emotional balance creates attraction that lasts because it's not based on fleeting pleasure, but on emotional safety. Women crave emotional closeness as much as, if not more than, physical connection. When a man can make her feel emotionally fulfilled, physical intimacy naturally deepens. She begins to desire him not just with her body, but with her mind and heart. She looks forward to his company because it feels peaceful, grounding, and real. Non-sexual intimacy is powerful because it's rare. It's about presence without agenda, connection without pressure, and affection without expectation. When a man learns to build this kind of bond, he becomes unforgettable. Because while passion can fade, the feeling of being emotionally understood and safe never does. That's the kind of intimacy that keeps a woman's heart and desire alive long after the initial spark. Energetic alignment is the invisible connection that draws two people together beyond words, logic, or appearances. It's when a man's inner energy, his calmness, confidence, and self-awareness harmonizes with a woman's emotional and intuitive nature. A woman feels this instantly, even before he speaks. His presence either soothes her or unsettles her. When his energy is grounded, steady, and authentic, she relaxes. When it's chaotic or insecure, she closes off. Attraction is not just about what a man does. It's about the energy he carries. His thoughts, emotions, and intentions create a frequency that a woman can feel without him saying a single word. A man who is in energetic alignment with himself doesn't chase, force, or manipulate outcomes. He moves with quiet confidence, trusting his path and respecting hers. His energy is stable because it's rooted in self-acceptance. He's not trying to prove his worth or control her reactions. Instead, he allows the connection to flow naturally. That steadiness makes a woman feel emotionally safe because it shows he's not dependent on her energy to feel complete. She can sense his wholeness, and that wholeness is magnetic. Energetic alignment also means being emotionally aware. A man who can read the energy in a room or sense a woman's emotional state without needing her to explain it demonstrates deep emotional intelligence. He doesn't react impulsively. He responds consciously. He adjusts his tone, pace, and presence according to what the moment needs. That awareness creates harmony, and harmony breeds trust. A woman feels when a man is energetically in sync with her, when his calmness grounds her emotions, when his silence feels safe, when his presence balances her energy instead of overwhelming it. Most men underestimate how much energy affects attraction. A man might say all the right things, but if his energy feels needy, scattered, or aggressive, a woman's intuition will sense it immediately. Likewise, a man who says little but radiates calm certainty will captivate her attention without effort. His energy tells her he's not seeking approval, he's simply being. That's the kind of energy that creates polarity, the natural flow between the masculine and feminine. It's not about dominance or submission, it's about rhythm, balance, and mutual flow. Energetic alignment is built through self-awareness and discipline. A man must learn to regulate his emotions, manage his thoughts, and stay centered even when things don't go his way. The more grounded he becomes, the more magnetic he feels. A woman can sense when a man is emotionally clear, when his energy feels like peace instead of pressure. That peace draws her in. It gives her permission to be soft, expressive, and open. When a man's energy is aligned, he doesn't have to chase connection. It naturally finds him. His energy speaks louder than his words. His calmness becomes contagious, and his presence feels healing. That's the essence of true attraction. Two people whose energies meet not in chaos, but in balance. It's not about who says the most or does the most. It's about who is the most aligned. Because when energy aligns, desire flows effortlessly. At the core of attraction lies something far deeper than appearance or charm. It's energy, awareness, and emotional intelligence. A woman is not drawn to what a man says. She's drawn to how she feels in his presence. When he offers emotional safety, stands rooted in purpose, and carries confidence without arrogance, she feels both seen and respected. When his energy is calm, his presence attentive, and his intention steady, she feels understood on a level that words can't reach. True desire isn't built on control, games, or surface-level attention. It's built on connection, the kind that grows through trust, understanding, and alignment. Each of these elements, from emotional safety to gentle dominance, from mystery to non-sexual intimacy, forms part of the deeper truth that women respond not to perfection, but to presence. When a man learns to master himself, his emotions, and his energy, he becomes magnetic without effort. His presence becomes his greatest power, because the real secret to turning a woman on isn't in what he does, it's in who he is. A man grounded in strength, authenticity, and emotional depth doesn't need to chase connection. He naturally creates it. And that is the kind of connection that not only attracts a woman, it keeps her heart, mind, and desire intertwined for a lifetime.